I've forever been the sort of individual who lays out aggressive objectives for myself. However, I've likewise been the sort of individual who battles to see everything through to completion. I've made endless arrangements to get fit, gain proficiency with another dialect, or begin a second job. However, I've generally wound up falling once more into old propensities and abandoning my fantasies. I've had a go at all that to work on my self-control, setting updates, separating objectives into more modest advances, and surprisingly, compensating myself for staying with my arrangements. Be that as it may, nothing appeared to work for me. Then, at some point, I went over a book about self-restraint. The book contended that the way to self-control isn't to resolve, but instead character. The creator contended that we are the amount of our propensities, and that to change our way of behaving, we want to change our character. This thought impacted me. I understood that I had forever been centered around the objectives I needed to accomplish. However, I had never truly pondered the individual I needed to turn into. In this way, I began by doing a daily existence review. I pondered every one of the parts of my life that I needed to improve, and I thought of a rundown of the characteristics I needed to exemplify, things like discipline, inspiration, and diligence. Then, at that point, I began to envision myself as the individual I needed to turn into. I envisioned myself getting up early consistently and working out no matter what. I saw myself concentrating on Arabic consistently and gaining steady headway towards my familiarity objectives. What's more, I imagined myself running an effective part-time job that I was enthusiastic about. It was astonishing how much envisioned myself as the individual I needed to be changed by my inspiration. I began to feel more certain about my capacity to accomplish my objectives, and I was bound to stay with my arrangements. I likewise began to set more modest, more feasible objectives for myself. I realized that I was unable to change as long as I can remember for the time being, so I centered around rolling out little improvements that I could support over the long run. For instance, instead of trying to go to the gym every day, I started by going once a week. And instead of trying to learn Arabic fluently in a year, I focused on learning 10 new words a day. These little changes may not seem like a lot, but they had a major effect. As I began to gain ground, I felt more propelled to continue onward. What's more, over the long haul, my little changes transformed into enormous propensities. I'm as yet noticeably flawed. I have a ton of work to do. However, I'm glad for the headway I've made, and I'm eager to proceed to develop and move along. On the off chance that you're battling with self-restraint, I urge you to attempt a similar methodology. Center around the personality you need to epitomize, set little feasible objectives, and commend your advancement en route. With difficult work and devotion, you can accomplish anything you put your energy into. Eventually, as I pondered my excursion towards self-control, I understood that it wasn't necessary to focus on driving myself to do things I would have rather not done, but instead about adjusting my activities to the individual I sought to be. It was tied in with developing the propensities, outlooks, and convictions that would engage me to accomplish my objectives and carry on with a satisfying life. The way to self-restraint was not generally simple, yet it merited each step. I figured out how to embrace difficulties, focus on my prosperity, and praise my advancement regardless of how little. Furthermore, in particular, I discovered that the ability to change exists in me, and that I can make the existence I want. I hope this story of mine will benefit you if you can consider what I have told you. Thanks for listening.